what are considered really good places, but I've never seen such a set of artistic works so untouched. And because normally, if you are dealing with something that was done in the 16th or 17th century, normally you find different layers of intervention. This was not the case. This chapel was totally untouched, and that's for me something that I like to show with you. Well, in this PowerPoint, I don't know, you all belong to the school, more or less, so you know the school.
Yes, some are founders of the school, others are teachers of the school. So
okay, so I have a small introduction about the school, you know, but you might all know when it started and what happened. But let's get back here to the chapel. All the paintings. Our work was mainly centered in the ceiling and in the.
is it
in the
any
ceiling.
better like that?
Yes,
Yes.
it's better. Yes.
All the work was mostly centered in the ceiling and then in the altar, in the main altar. And we were studying a little bit, and we found that this man that is called Gabriel del Barco, it was a really known artist in that time. It was somebody with a huge talent to draw and to create different decorative sets. Okay, and so if you go around the Quinta, the chapel, you'll see that almost everything goes along together very well. So it was drawn with a meaning. It was the owners of this place had a lot of knowledge, and they did it, and they did the work, you know, they were very careful choosing the decoration of the entire Quinta. The work you find not just in the roof, but not just in the ceiling, but all around. It's something that we believe it's in the transition between what we call the period Maneirista to the Baroque period. Okay, because you have a lot of symmetries, and that you find the colors of the Maneirista period. Okay, we are talking about lighter colors and a dilution between reds and pinks and greens, something that it's very common to find in that period. Not to talk about the vegetalist ornaments and some other references, but in this work you get to see something different. Is that the elements are a bit more thick, they get to be larger and to be more, they have more body than the ones that you find in the Maneirism period. So we call it a transition to the Baroque period, where the ostentation and the power was starting to be shown. You'll find this chapel was built in homenagem to São João Batista. Okay, so it was built to be in honor to São João Batista, and represents in this central element the Annunciation, when the Virgin said that Jesus was going to be born. Okay. Something curious, it's the altar, the main altar. Why? Because if you go and if you study a little bit this period, I'll show it later, but just as an introduction. Especially when we were in war with Spain, Portugal was without resources. Something weird, because nowadays we have a lot of resources and
No money.
yes. But so we didn't have the resources, and so the use of very good marble and the decoration with marble normally was directed to very small architectural projects, not to big architectural projects, because the money wasn't there and they couldn't do it. And so this church represents very well that period, you know, trying to do good, but in small scale because the money wasn't there. When we got to the church, we found all the surface in a bad condition, because what we call the joint material, the ligante, was very, very soluted. So all the painting we didn't have done, if we haven't done the fixing of it, it was going to come out almost entirely in the next years, because it was very, very, very loose in all the area. But especially in the last third of the church, we could find things like this, you know. So it was not just the polychromy that was getting loose, but it had already jumped out from the ceiling. So we were losing polychromy, we were losing the preparation, so everything was coming out. Okay? And this starts as a chain, because we're talking about chemical reactions, and when this fungus and this chain of deterioration starts, normally goes all along. If it's been fed by the circumstances, by the humidities and by the environment, then it keeps on going and normally never stops. And so the first thing to do was to try to stop this degradation. And so we went through a process that we call the fixing of the pictoric layer. Okay. Before we did this, we studied a little bit what has been done in other projects similar to this one, and we decided to move forward using a material that is something quite new in Portugal, but it has been used in Italy, for instance, 7-8 years ago in a part of the restoration of the Sistine Chapel in Italy. It's called CMC, and it's something that is much less aggressive than the normal list of chemics that we use to do the cleaning. And this CMC, that I'll tell a little bit more about it ahead, it's called carboxymethylcellulose, okay? And it's a gel in which you can add something that it's like an acrylic resin that we dilute in a small percentage, and they get together and they help to keep what we need there, and we can clean, in the polymerase reaction, we can clean whatever are organic sediments and things that you don't like.
Can I ask a question? Sorry. How was the painting originally affixed to the background? Is there a special layer that they then painted on, or is it just painted straight onto the limestone wash of the chapel?
It's directly painted. This is what we call a painting, a dry painting. Then you have the wet painting, we call it fresco. Okay, the fresco you mix in the gypsum, in the preparation, the color is mixed directly there. Okay, and so yes, you have to do in very small bits, do it meter by meter. Okay, using the proper material, the base material with the ink on it. In this case, you had all the preparation, so the decorative painting was done in the top with tempera. It's another type of ink. Okay.
But sometimes you have a man here who would take the paint and give injections behind to do the plaster without damaging the leftover of the paint.
Exactly. Yeah, but that's, you had a plaster and you have the paint above the plaster, okay? And the plaster was coming out.
Yes.
So we didn't cut the painting from the plaster, we brought out the plaster and we consolidated from the back.
From the
okay?
back, yes, that's amazing.
But normally, sometimes you can do other things. You can, when the support is in very bad shape, sometimes with techniques you can cut layers, a very thin layer of the painting, okay, and then you work with the rest. Here you can see we are trying to get the painting back in place, and we were cleaning, and you can find some differences from what it was, okay, and how it is. And so all the ceiling was very dirty with a lot of sediments. To do this process, beside the CMC and the primal, this acrylic resin, we use something we call Japanese paper. It's something that allows the material to go through the paper and into the ink and into the plaster, but it helps when it comes to take it out, okay, in the cleaning, because if you do this and if you want to clean, you might bring out the painting. Like this with the paper, it stops, it gets a barrier from.
It's amazing.
And here you see the example, very good example. We cleaned the leg of the angel because it was all dark. So
I'm sorry, a question then. So you just cleaned that, you haven't painted over that?
no,
That's just simply cleaning the sediments and things that were on there?
I'll get there. We did
Okay.
some. We did some interventions, some what we call mimetic interventions. Some elements were redone, but in this case, what you see here is the beginning of the cleaning. Okay, and whenever we found different cracks and lots in the plaster, we used the same gypsum that normally was used in the beginning. It's called sulfato de cálcio semi-hidratado. And before we did this, and getting back to what Shari was saying, we brought out what we call we call it the zonas podres. It's the damaged part of the plaster, and normally we clean it in layers until it gets to the best we can get, so that when you put the new plaster there, the connection is possible between the particles, okay? Otherwise, you'll just create something that will be unstable and will come down again.
So this is all chemistry.
Somehow,
And some biology,
That's
right?
how we use chemistry.
when we get to the painting intervention, we decided to do it in different ways. We had a ceiling that hadn't been touched before. We wanted to keep as much patina as possible. Okay, so we'd like to keep it looking old because there's
Because it's old.
There's no chance to do anything like that. And we had to choose between places where we could do some small reintegration or not even touch it, just clean it. Some others where we had to draw some lines to bring, the reading of the entire ceiling, and some other places where the loss was total, and where we understood that we could propose to do a mimetic intervention. A mimetic intervention is when you have elements that can prove you 100% that this is what it was there, okay, so then we can create them and leave them there. Of course, in all these cases, we are talking about reversible materials and everything that is very well documented. So, if somebody from Ijaspar comes here or from another place and says, "Whoa, you."
No, but they didn't.
Yeah.
And I spoke 2 days ago with Charles Vitiabio, and he said they had never seen such a clean project, right? Clean, simple. Why was the camera being fussy about it?
I'm very happy to hear. They were very happy with the.
Yes, George said this. I believe he met you again,
Yes.
and he must have said the same.
Yeah, he was happy with it. But I don't know, maybe later in this area, and Mary can tell, sometimes things happen because people have different opinions. This is not something that it's, not everybody normally loves everything, so sometimes people come and they judge a little bit, and this is why we use the reversible materials all the time. And
But we had already Zemet with all his people coming. We had Guilherme Cardoso from the archaeology of the camera. We had Planov, who has an old age university with young people, but still,
Yeah.
they all came and everybody was astonished at what you had done without looking new. You know, sometimes restoration means people, what the student said, it's restored but it still looks old, right? Everybody, I have not heard one criticism.
I'm very happy with that. We try to go in that direction in almost everything. Sometimes some clients, ask us to stop much early. Some others ask us to go much further. And what we try to do is to pass what we feel and to keep the balance. Okay. In this case, I'm very happy with the work. Very happy because it looks real. And
We even have people from embassies coming on Sundays to show the chapel to friends. So the word is passing.
It's very good. Here, for instance, you can see how it was and how it is. In this case, what we did was to fulfill with the gaps that you find in the angel and in the flowers around everything was filled with what we call a neutral color, and we call it the illusionist intervention. So at this distance, okay, if you are heading to something that is 3, 4, 5, 10 meters ahead of you, you normally can't tell that the thing was touched. It looks like it's all the same. But if you get near to it, you'll see that the colors you'll find inside, everything you'll find here, it's not exactly painted like this, okay? It's done or in trapezo or in pontilhismo. It's a technique to make you feel like you're looking to something exactly the same, but it's not. In this case, this is when you get to the chapel, inside, on the top, you have a card with a tissue on it. Okay, and we took the card out. It was old but still new from the 20th century, something that was put in there to cover. And what we found was just a small bit, imagine in this area about 5% of this frame here in green. And so we didn't have any element saying what it was here. So what we decided to do was to create the frame, because we knew the frame was there, and to leave the interior with just a color that it's the background color of the ceiling. The drawings and everything was done with the classical materials, not just the plaster, but the tempera that we use. It's still, of course, in old times people used to prepare tempera with egg. There are some techniques, some older techniques that we can talk a little bit later, because it's something that normally we don't use nowadays, because the washes, the materials we have nowadays do exactly the same, and the reaction is good and they last longer, and so we don't go to that technique. But it's very similar, what we used to what it was used 300 or 400 years ago. In the end, we decided not to put a layer of wax or varnish at the top of the painting, and this was because you can study a lot of, you can read different opinions, but nobody is sure that a layer of wax at the top of a mural painting will keep it longer, and I'm pretty sure that will bring more reaction, more bacteria, more things to it. And normally it brings up dust and things. It's an attraction point to stick things that later will bring the roof to his old image again. It will get dark, so it won't be that good. Still, some others say, Gonçalo, it's a bit risky to leave it like this, because some other factors might interact with it. So we have different opinions about it. My opinion is to leave it like this. So it's my responsibility, and sometimes we have to choose a side.
And the way you have seen the chapel, because you come often, do you see any change or any damage, or are you happy with not having put that cover?
Yes, that's the layer I'm talking about, the protection. It's something for you to feel the reaction of not putting it. It's something that will take years and not if we have a problem, a huge problem of humidity still going on, a lot of problem with other things, even with a layer of wax or varnish, it will be damaged also.
But you remember at a certain point there was no window. And you said, look, this is not, the window was very down. So you said, Charlie, be careful, and we opened that little window with some protection so that the birds would not come in.
The air is much better now.
Yes.
You can feel, you breathe it inside, the smell, the air, everything has changed. And this was a place that used to be open, the air was circulating. All the churches, one of the things that the architects used to give a lot of importance in these buildings was to keep to let the structure breathe. Okay, it's like the clay we use. We need to use clays that breathe. We need to use plasters that breathe. You know, the breathing of the materials is very important to make it last.
Would the wax change the tonal values of those colours as well?
It changes a little bit. We try to use it as transparent as possible, but still brings a little bit of darkness to the colors. And the varnishes do the same. And it's not the first time that we did a painting, a mural painting without finishing. And then we have the altar where we did especially a cleaning, or nothing more than a cleaning. We used the CNC again, and well, you can see in some of these pictures the difference from how it was to how it is. So,
Yes.
normally when you get to these places where I used to see them, you don't notice these things. Yes,
Yes.
but
It's good.
well, the stone is very strong, and this inlay of stone or inlay of marble is something that is very well done. So even if it's very, very dirty, to be honest, I don't know if this will be a problem to the marble, okay, because it can handle a huge amount of dirt. Still looks much better. But this in the ceiling, in painting or in tiles or in other things, then it's a problem because the joints will start to get loose, spaces will be open, everything will start to move in to the back of these supports, and then everything will start to come out. So we have to isolate things as good as possible, so it won't happen. In this presentation I had some technical descriptions about how we did the cleaning, you know, how we used the brushes. For in this case, this cleaning was done by these brushes with soft hair, and the chemical cleaning was done with CNC, as I told you before, with a little bit more water. After the chapel, we moved in through the tiles in the entrance, in the fontaine entrance. This picture here is a picture of the tiles in the church and not a picture of the tiles in that entrance. Now when you come into the school and you look to that area, you'll see, and if you haven't followed the intervention, you may say, well, but this is the same. Tiles are missing, everything is missing. Still a lot of work was done to stop the degradation, okay, and to leave it ready for the next stage if you want to move forward. What we did was, we did a consolidation in the areas where the glass part of the tile was getting lost from the ceramic material with another acrylic resin. It's called Paraloid B72, so we've diluted in different percentages from 2% to 10%, and we've injected inside, so we've created a layer that got things together. Okay? After that, once again, we use that Japanese paper, and we've covered with Japanese paper, and a new layer of Paraloid in a smaller percentage was given on the top of it. Okay? And so, when it was dry, the Japanese paper was taken out from all the panels, okay? And then we've cleaned what was left from the resin with alcohol around the joints and around the places where you can see the cuttings between the painting in the glassy area and the ceramic part. So it's needed a lot of patience to go around there and to clean. Then we've moved to the cleaning. And the cleaning was done with what we call a neutral detergent. It's something that it's not aggressive, and we wanted to work without fosfato, because fosfato is something that is contained in other cleaning materials, and it gets to be aggressive to the glues inside. So we used two different types of this material. One was Tipol, and the other one was their twin.
Very close.
The material that you get to
You know, the
shine.
shop doesn't exist anymore. No? We got the last.
in the end, the last phase was to put some plaster, some special plaster, it's called Antec, in the places, because we did the consolidation with this paralloid, and then you have the difference between the layer of glass and the ceramical body. Okay, the paralloid is injected inside, but sometimes you still have some gaps here, and the gaps make the surface more susceptible to be taken off. You know, so what we do is to fulfill the gaps with this plaster, special plaster, and to make it round and as aggressive as possible. And in the end, in these joints, we put it against the paralloid discontinuation. Now, if possible,
You have to do the other part.
the other part, or at least to keep a small barrier so that people won't touch it, because with time,
Also, but the front, when you look into the fountain, the tiles you had there had kind of some concrete on top, which you were able to take away,
calcario,
which kind of came out of the wall.
it comes from the wall. Yes, it's the fountain. The water is moving all around. Okay, and so we have something we call capillaridade. The water goes down, and the wall like sucks the water up. Okay, the water is coming up all the time, and then she needs to come out. She can go back. She comes to the front and finds her way to come to the front. And in this passage, she brings sand and other materials that are in the wall.
That was the dirt we saw.
Yes, and so brings the calcario.
Sedimentation is because it's capillary action, and the water as it's coming back is pulling out any sand and sediment and depositing it on the front where the water's leaking back out.
Exactly. And that's what we've broken, not concrete, but calcario. Of course, in some places you had some small bits of concrete, because they had,
Yes.
yeah.
But
Não tem canalização, aquela fonte.
no, it's a natural fountain. The water comes from the mina, right? And then it goes over the top on the floor. Right. It's a real casa de frio, so that it's cool in the summer. And the funny thing is, on Thursdays, a man comes and cleans the swimming pool, so he touches the water fountain, and it fills in, and we see the water coming out. At one point we had frogs. It's really alive.
So that,
Yes. But it's amazing because you uncovered all these tiles with things, motifs from the sea, and it's different. It's only the upper part that doesn't look so nice.
yes, the under part,
The
the lower part looks
is
very good. Yeah.
unbelievable.
And there's a direct relation with these elements, the ones in the chapel, in the ceiling, everything is related.
Yes, because what you have there is, yeah. But now I understand why a small chapel is so rich. I had not understood it.
It's very rich, and
The house belonged to someone that was very rich, and
Yes.
he had lots of money.
The tax collectors for Philip III of Spain,
yeah.
which were former pirates that he brought from Holland.
Let's see.
So the house is like
I will read like a book about it because I think it's very interesting.
João Batista Sinal de Cortes.
yes.
Yeah.
But those pirates had been former Portuguese Jews that had to fled into the Netherlands. Right?
So yes, with Commonwealth,
Yes,
at the time of Commonwealth.
yes.
But,
So it's all them coming back,
uh-huh.
but it's tax collected. You have a lot of things there that I didn't know, but I don't know how much we could use that on our web or not. Is
If you
this?
think it's okay, because it might need to be checked in some points, you can use it as you
It's
wish.
Joanna is in charge of our web and our Facebook, and we like to share as much information as possible, but we don't know about your copyrights,
No, it's yours to use.
because it's really something we can.
And the subject matter in the chapel is normal for that sort of time period?
Yes. Yes, I'm not an expert in that area in iconography and things related to religious matters, but I was speaking to a friend of mine who's doing a PhD in that area, Tiago Dias, and he said it's common to find this veneration to São João Batista. in
But
this-
it's usually him baptizing Christ in those.
Yes, he's
Isn't it?
baptized,
It's
right,
usually,
yes.
it's usually depicting Christ's baptism by John.
Exactly.
But this one is Mary.
But normally all the chapels are dedicated to a saint,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
It could be another saint
Mm.
than João Batista, it's not always João Batista.
But I had a Dominican priest who now works in South America who came to visit the chapel, and he said he saw still a lot of Jewish influence because in the tiles the men were on one side, the women on the other one, and kind of sometimes St. John is also connected to some Masonic.
Masonic.
Yes, and the multi symbols. So, with everything we are hearing, it's kind of,
Kind of Masonic.
yes. Yes, Masonic, Templar, isn't it? There is something, kind of a message that we don't perceive totally.
Yes, it might be interesting to have somebody that really knows how to interpret those
To
Masonic
study
symbols to
that,
study that.
yes, that part.
Even the water, like initiating process.
Yes. There could be the water, because the Quinta has so much water and fountains. And,
But
you are totally right.
And you were asking about the representation in the ceiling where we have the Virgin, but in the tiles around the chapel, you find São João Batista, common present, and you find child, and you find it's very typical.
But
When
it's
it was-
also
yeah.
the two babies talking in the
Yeah,
womb of the mothers, isn't it?
two babies talking.
Talking when they were not yet born. So you see the cousins, pregnant, and both the babies saying kind of hello to each other.
It's an interesting study to do, without a doubt. And there's another thing that might be, as we were talking about Gabriel Del Barco, the one that draw the ceiling and the decoration in tiles, and the work in stone. It's
marble.
the marble work, yeah, the marble work
Of the altar, yes.
of the
It's not
altar.
Portuguese, it's Italian.
It's
but-
Italian. It's what they call tarsia.
Mhm.
This kind of work, and it was done by João Antunes.
Yes, you have.
Portuguese craftsman. It's known as one of the good craftsmen in this area in Portugal working at that time.
So there's presumably a lot of work by Gabriel Del Barco around Portugal.
I found a few things, but I have to go deeper to tell you if there's a huge quantity or not. But there are some references of his work.
Only in Portugal, or did he?
No, I believe it was international.
So when you say that the founder of the chapel is unknown, are you assuming that it's somebody different and not Sinel de Cortes, somebody else?
Please, can you repeat your question or let me know what you are? so
O
that I
Cortes,
Yeah.
se foi no tempo dele que fizeram a capela, se foi mais tarde. It was later, but he was the one that made the house, that
Uh-huh.
and the chapel was done when?
The chapel is 17th century. You have a signature there. You have a date. So
The chapel is earlier or
it's. I believe it's the same period. It was built, structure, and right after the decoration was done. Okay.
But it's in between the Portuguese and the Spaniards. Philip III was not the king for very long, Philip IV, and then they still went on keeping the Quinta.
Yes, because there was a relation between the Dutch and the Spanish, so it was the same empire, okay?
Yeah.
And we got inside the same empire for a period in between.
Yes.
Yes, so it was.
The funny thing also in the fountain is that it has a lot of semi-precious stones. Because with your product, we had students trying to clean. We have bits and pieces of all.
Semi-precious.
Yes,
Oh, how strange.
like
Because normally there are some Chinese porcelain. The
Yes.
porcelain you see, it's all Chinese porcelain,
porcelain,
that
yes.
they would break in the house and then they would use it to make it has a special name, make some, how do you call it? Embrechado.
Embrechado, exactly.
Yeah.
But you have more than that. With your product,
Mhm.
when the students started very
Cleaning.
carefully cleaning, we saw some semi-precious from the Quinta.
I think that's
So this place has
Because
a
the
lot
Kinta provides this kind of semi-precious
Yes.
stones.
stones.
In geology, they did some work with some students.
is going to.
Yeah?
Apparently so.
Right after this session.
How fantastic, I think that's very interesting.
We found some shells, right?
Yes.
Because at the top you also have the ruins of Messiah, Celtic ruins. So this
Is the top of the Kinta here?
Mas se calhar tem coisas arqueológicas que se vocês começarem a cavar descobrem coisas fantásticas.
Let's not tell anyone to start digging. You
Yeah,
might find some treasures.
otherwise they will not let us go. Yeah.
Because this way, the land is very rich, and the valleys were always.
That's why the water is so.
Perhaps as it had so much water,
Yes.
perhaps people lived here for much longer than you think that this house was made.
But the ruins of Messiah, when you go up there, you can see the whole valley. You have a beautiful view. Isn't it? Yeah, Isabel was there. And,
Because probably the coastline where it is now was a lot further in.
Yes, it was.
Exactly.
It's true.
300 years ago,
Yes.
much further. And then there'd be a reason to build here, so they could do fishing, the rivers there, the water, like you said.
Yes, and they could get
It's
very,
high to protect
yes,
themselves.
very quickly to the sea and the boats would come. Yes.
So let's start digging.
Yeah. People living here, it's something that might have happened much longer than this.
Pois é,
Yeah.
and this house was built.
sometimes we dig and we find rooms.
We could use it.
You pick everything.
Classroom.
Don't because the stones, sometimes we think they are not interesting. And I found, even in my garden, fantastic stones that are special. You have to keep them and then show to someone that knows about them.
What? Once we
Utensils that they used to do.
old tools.
Yeah?
Once we were in China doing a project and we were working near a Ming village, and one of the artists that was working with us, he was thinking about what to do, and he decided that he would like to create some new trees in the landscape, you know, using tronco,
Tree trucks.
Tree trucks.
Yes.
having different materials but local materials, and so he started digging, and when he started digging he found a little bit of Chinese pottery and he keep on digging and another one, and there were tons of
Chinese
pieces of Ming sayings, and it was an amazing experience.
We found 2 rooms the other day because of a smell, and I thought it was a body. We found 2 rooms.
In the
Yeah, I know, okay, now there are classrooms, and in the middle of that, on the wall. The
Well,
other side,
here in this side, or
the other side, we had the dining room at the top floor, a smell, so somebody had broken
The waste pipe.
yes, but it was full of food. Okay, I won't describe. But when we went with the lamp, we saw on the wall a little paper from the time of Salazar. Good rules to be civilized. First of all,
Did you put them up in the canteen?
so, when you have workers working for you, first thing you have to offer them breakfast in the morning. Right?
fantastic.
You should not make them use uniforms that look fascist. Right? If you go, if the company is from the state, you should avoid prostitution. You cannot
should avoid.
Trying to put it on the web.
Fantastic.
No, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and the rooms were where?
On the other side. And we digged and digged and digged.
And you were underneath. Ah,
So they were under,
pois estavam tapados. Pois.
with all pines, the pines are much smaller than this.
Aham.
It's now an art room and a drama room. But this is very good. Joanna, you asked me for this.
Is there any other question you have? Or
Eu vou ter que ir.
Do you have any advice for us to keep for the future, or do you need to do interventions on your chair?
in the chapel?
Yes, to maintain this stage.
My advice is to let